You are listening to the Heartland Author Podcast. I am Aaron Apollo Camp. For today's episode, I had the opportunity to interview Rahul Sharma. Rahul is a global learning and development executive and the author of 2 books, Be Action-Oriented and Habits4Miracles. Additionally, Rahul is one of 11 authors of the book Jumpstart Your blank, and yes, there is a blank in the title of that book. I'm here with Rahul Sharma, who is an author of a couple of books, and also was one of 11 co-authors of another book. Rahul, welcome to the Heartland Author Podcast.
Thank you, Aaron, for having me here. It's my pleasure.
Feel free to tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I'm a leadership coach and author and a public speaker. I help people in making their dreams come true. I'm a mentor coach, coach and a mentor, and a miracle mentor. So I help people in converting their dreams into reality, making their miracles come true. That is what I do.
I'm going to start with a book that you were a contributor of. You were one of 11 authors who co-wrote the book Jumpstart Your blank, and there's an actual blank in that title. And the compiler of that book was Katrina Sawa. Without spoiling too much of that book, what is that book about, and what was your part in that book?
Sure. So this book was about anything and everything that you want to jumpstart. So there were 11 authors, and everyone had their own pieces. My piece in that book was Jumpstart Your Habits, the 8 habits you can inculcate to design your life your way.
And you've written 2 books by yourself, Be Action-Oriented and Habits4Miracles. And Habits4Miracles is one word, and the 4 is the number 4. Without spoiling too much of both of those books, what are each of them about?
So the Be Action-Oriented book is all about helping people to take consistent action. Most of us, we want to do great things in our life, but we struggle, we have obstacles. So this book is basically allowing people to know the 5 keys to take consistent action and get whatever you are looking for. In my book, Habits4Miracles, I have listed 8 habits that if we inculcate, we will be able to design our life our way. Basically, we can have our dreams come into reality. So these are the 2 books focused on self-development, personal growth.
What are miracles in your book, Habits4Miracles?
So the miracles are, the M stands for mind talk, I stands for ideation, R stands for reading, A stands for analyzation, C is for calmness, L is for listening, and here I'm focusing more on listening to self versus attentive listening or quality listening. Here I'm talking more about listening to our own self. And then E stands for exercise, Aaron, and S is silence. So these are these 8 habits, miracles I have used as an acronym. And if these habits, if we inculcate in our day-to-day life, we will be able to design our life our way.
I actually didn't realize that there's no duplicate letters in the word miracles or miracles, as you pronounce them.
Yep.
Either pronunciation's acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
Now, regarding the 2 books that you wrote by yourself, Be Action-Oriented and Habits4Miracles, are both of those books self-published, both of them traditionally published? both via a hybrid press, or did you use one publishing method for one and another publishing method for the other?
So I use different publishing method. So my first book, the Be Action Oriented, was an ebook which I published through Amazon. And my second book, Habits for Miracle, is a paper book and an ebook. And for this, I utilized a publisher mainly for the ISBN number, Aaron, as I learned that
Mm-hmm.
if I have an ISBN number from a publisher, my book will be eligible to uh, keep in the library, public libraries. It will come out as one of the book for those libraries. So that's the reason I used that publisher. The only help I took from them was buying an ISBN number from them.
And for American based authors who are listening to this podcast, Bowker, I believe, is the U.S. Entity that sells ISBN numbers, and those are very important to have if
Yep.
you want your book like in a public library or somewhere it can be cataloged.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and for authors based outside the United States, there usually is an entity within the country in question that sells ISBNs.
Correct. Correct.
Now, my next question is now you had miracles as an acronym. Now, Mind Talk is the one that really is not really self explanatory. So, what is Mind Talk? And also, what is the circle of happiness?
Sure. Sure. So yes, mind talk is also referred as most of the people by self-talk, Aaron, and it is about talking to yourself about your own self. Um, every day, as a human being, we receive close to 60 to 80,000 thoughts, and unfortunately, 90% of those thoughts are negative thoughts. So if we do not talk to our mind in a positive way, it will lead us to negative action because our thoughts are negative. Uh, so if we do this mind talk on a daily basis, it will help us in manifestation as well as help us in taking that one action that you want to get closer to your dreams. Uh, and I have seen many people who do mind talk. They use the phrase I want to do this, I want to achieve this. And my recommendation would be, instead of using the word I, use your own name. That will help you to distinguish the feelings, the thought process that you are having behind that phrase, and it will help you in disconnecting a lot of feelings about your statement. So research has shown that if you use your name instead of the word I during the conversation you're doing to yourself, it will help you better.
Uh,
And
the circle of happiness, that's the other
yes,
part
and
of it.
the circle of happiness is one of the concept I've used in the book. It's the reason I have used circle because it is a complete circle, and you have to do things again and again to be happy. And the first thing is you have to have that positive mind talk to yourself. When you positively talk to your mind will remain happy for 6 to 8 hours. That is as per the neuroscientists. And once your mind is happy, you will be getting positive thoughts in your mind. That positive thoughts will lead you to take positive action, and that positive action will get positive results for you, which will lead you to happiness. So once you're happy, again, go for that positive mind talk to yourself, get positive thoughts, have positive action, and take that positive action to be happy. And that's what I mean by the circle of happiness. It's mind talk, positive thoughts, positive action, and then be happy by taking those positive action.
Can you share one or more examples of mindset shifts? Sorry
Yeah.
about that. That have had a profound impact on your life.
Sure. So one of the example that I mentioned in my book as well, it's about the time when I went back to take swimming as my fitness regime. And I used to love swimming while I was growing up. But just 4 years ago, I thought to do it again, more not for the leisure, but more from the fitness. And it was a very unpleasant surprise for me when I went into my 25-meter pool of my gym, because it was really challenging for me to take that one lap of 25-meter. I was just huffing and puffing once I completed that. And I had to take 10 minutes break to go for the next. Long story short, I could not do more than 4 laps that day while taking break. And suddenly I realized that something is not right. And when I started doing Mind Talk, I realized that the fitness that I used to have 20 years ago and today is different. My body was behaving little differently, and then I realized that if I, based on my research, I found that if I do backstroke swimming as well as breaststroke swimming, it will help me to stay in the pool for a longer time. And I was determined to make things happen. Next day I came in the pool, I take 2 extra laps. Yes, I was taking break, but I was able to increase the number of laps. Following day, again 2 extra laps. Over a period of 3 weeks, Aaron, I was able to do 40 laps without any break. And that is that never giving up mindset, challenging the status quo mindset that helped me in making that shift. And today, from since the last 4 years, every 2 to 3 days in a week, I'm going for swimming and keeping fit.
And also for our listeners that might not be familiar with different size swimming pools, 25 meters, that's half Olympic length, because an Olympic length swimming pool is 50 meters.
Correct, correct.
How can individuals cultivate a positive mindset and create more joy and fulfillment in their lives?
Yep. The first thing I would say is we need to be surrounded by like-minded people, or our inner circle has to be of people who are positive. That is number one thing I would recommend for people who want to establish their positive mindset. The second thing I would say is practice gratitude. Most of the time, in the quest of having something that we don't have, sometimes we forget what we have. And I think we should be thankful to Almighty, thankful to your family, friends, colleagues about the things that you have. And if we regularly take time to acknowledge and appreciate the positive aspect of our life, we will change our focus. The third thing I would recommend is practice kindness. Engage in the acts of kindness, service towards others. Helping others can foster a sense of purpose and contribute to positive emotions. So these are the three things I would recommend someone wanting to cultivate a positive mindset, which is number one, having a inner circle of people who will give you positive energy, positive thoughts, practice gratitude, and help others and practice kindness.
My final question is, what are some common challenges that leaders face when building and uplifting their teams, and how can these be overcome?
Yeah, so that's a good question for our leaders. And one of the aspect that we forget as a leader is every team member that we are leading, they are different, which means as a leader, we need to adapt to the style of our team members. And most of the times we forget the team dynamics. So it will be important for leader to know the different personality, different work styles of your team member, and adapt your leadership style according to the personality, according to the style of the team member, versus just managing one way with all the team members that you have. Uh, Number two challenge that I see, Aaron, in most of the leaders is about the lack of trust. Sometimes they don't have that trust in the team members. And in my opinion, trust is the foundation of a strong team. And if the team member do not trust each other or the leader, it can hinder the collaboration and productivity of that team. So knowing the team members and cultivating a culture of trust within the team would be something very, very critical for our leaders. How they can overcome? They can overcome by knowing their people beyond the laptops, beyond the desktop. Know your people, get to know their likes, dislikes, get to know what are their interests, what is that is driving them to work every single day. Once you know your people, you will be able to make a difference in their life.
Rahul, you were a wonderful guest for the Heartland Author podcast, and I thank you for appearing on this podcast.
Thank you, Aaron, for having me here. I really appreciate it.
I enjoyed interviewing Rahul as he was a wonderful and insightful guest. This is Aaron Apollo Camp reminding y'all to write your imagination. Bye for now. You can learn more about me and my book writing projects at campaaronapollo.wixsite.com/authoraac. You can follow me on Facebook at AuthorAAC and on Instagram at AACScribe. Copyright 2023, Aaron Apollo Camp, all rights reserved. This podcast episode is intended for the private listening of our audience. Any reuse or retransmission of this podcast episode without the express written consent of the podcast host is prohibited, except under fair use guidelines. Royalty-free music and sound effects obtained from https://www.zapsplat.com.